Let's bring in today's panel. We got Scott Martin from Kingsview Asset Management. He's also a Fox News contributor. Carol Roth, a former investment banker and founder of the Future File Legacy Planning System, and economist Tim Kaine, a former Hoover Institution senior fellow and a GOP congressional candidate in Ohio. Tim, first to you. I think what's going on here has a lot to do with Larry Kudlow. When he announced last week that, in fact, the United States, rather than going it alone against the whole world in terms of trade tariffs and stuff, we're going to do partnerships. We're going to partner with the World Trade Organization against China, and now we may partner with a Trans-Pacific Partnership against perhaps China. It's instead of the U.S. against the world, it's the world against China. I think that's the direction they're going. What do you think?
It couldn't be better. This is a great day. My friend Mike Pompeo had hearings today to be the Secretary of State. And, you know, it wasn't in his purview before to talk about economic issues, but now as the nation's potential chief diplomat and a man who's very close to the president, I tip my hat a little bit to Mike Pompeo. Larry Kudlow is just great news. I think this is exactly right. Free trade, Republican, that's who we are. I couldn't be happier.
Carol, I'm just wondering why I didn't pick Larry Kudlow about a year ago.
Yeah.
I think the art of the deal has something to do with exhausting everybody and then getting to the right answer. So maybe that's part of the reason. But listen, Larry's always said that free market capitalism is the best path to prosperity.
That's right.
I think that most of us here agree with that. And so I am thrilled to see us moving away from the tough talk and protectionism more towards free trade, because at the end of the day, expanding the pie is what's good for America.
But it's not complete license on free trade, Scott. It's free trade as long as the other side is genuine in convictions that they're trading freely, and they're not involved in stealing our intellectual property or preventing our goods from entering their country. Larry has made it clear about that.
Yeah, that's true, David, and we've seen these trade deals over the years matriculate into that. Now, seeing Trump back to, say, being down with TPP is a good thing, because look at the market performance over the last, say, couple weeks. You know, we've seen the market get in this worrisome situation, as Carol said, about protectionist policy, about these tariff and trade wars. And so now that takes a lot of that uncertainty off the table and gives the S&P a little bit more room to run.
Now, Tim, before we just sigh with a big smile on our face and say everything is solved, we got to think about what's happening in the Mideast. We are being drawn into conflict there. A lot of people say it's inevitable that something is going to happen soon. When it does, is the market going to take another dive?
Let's think about this. This notion of trade with allies has a great history going back to the Marshall Plan. We didn't try to trade with everyone. We knew who our rivals were, but we also wanted to strengthen our allies. That's been missing in our Middle East strategy. It's not enough to just kill terrorists. We need to build up our allies in the counter model. That's Turkey, that's Jordan, that's Israel. And so I think, thinking about Israel, you've got to bring the economic element in. And this alliance strategy with Larry Kudlow and Mike Pompeo couldn't be better.
Great analysis. Thank you very much, Melissa.
That's a really good point. President Trump taking a victory lap on tax cuts ahead of the filing deadline next week for income taxes. Take a listen to this.
Married couples won't pay a dime of income tax on their first $24,000 of income. A typical family of four earning $75,000 a year will see their tax bill slashed in half. Nobody thought they'd ever see that. Have a lot more money to spend.
So, Scott, this is it. I mean, it's time to file taxes. It's time to see what the presidency really brought you or didn't. Do you think that folks will see the payout?
They are, and they have, Melissa, and I think they'll continue to see that. You know, that's one funny thing that I've seen some of the left say in the last few weeks as we've been leading up to this deadline, as you mentioned, is that, yeah, everybody got this boost in the bonus territory at the end of last year, or they got maybe a little more 401k dollars at the start of the year, but that's going to go away, or that's going to wane. And I just don't see it that way. I think this was a start of very good things for the average worker, very good things for future tax returns for many of us. And so I don't see that going away at all. Yet the left side of the aisle wants to make you think that all this stuff was a one-time bounce, when I actually think it's going to be long-term. Yeah,
Tim, you know, now with you have Larry Kudlow in play. You hear talk about more tax cuts or a second round 2.0. What would you like to see that include?
You know, what's funny is, now that I'm running for Congress, I thought I shouldn't use an accountant. I should be able to do my own taxes. So my wife and I have been working on it this week. I had to file an extension. It's too complicated. So that is what I'm going to work on if I get into Congress is we need simplification. And I think, frankly, this may be radical, guys. I think we should all be paying the same rate. I think Americans should be united and not split into these different classes. So I'm going to fight for a single rate tax, no big deductions for fat cats, and let's unify Americans again.
That is terrifying that a Hoover Institute fellow couldn't do his own taxes. I mean, you're supposed to be a mathy guy. I mean, I don't know. I know it says something about our tax code, not about you. I'm teasing. Carol, you know, it is astonishing to me to hear people out trying to talk down money. You know, saying more money in your pocket isn't a good thing. It's hard to trash talk money. People like money.
It's all really that people care about. If you go around the country, particularly in areas that are not New York and maybe the West Coast, the people in the heart of America, they only care about what's happening in their backyard and in their pocketbook. So these quote-unquote meager gains that they're getting are very, very meaningful to people who sometimes don't even have things like emergency funds in place. So we're starting to see more confidence. We're starting to see more spending. And the best thing is, as you visit your accountant, you don't even see all the benefits yet. You're going to see most of that benefit next year during taxes. So I do believe this is something that is going to continue, and we're going to also see this in earnings coming up here over the next couple days and weeks. I think that's a great thing for the markets as well.
Scott, do you think that all that is baked into the market so far, or do you think that there's more room to go in terms of the tax implications? I mean, I know there are so many other factors out there, but you talk about seeing more of it drift into earnings and into personal spending.
Yeah, Melissa, I think a lot of that is baked in, at least for Q1, because we saw the market bounce pretty hard nicely in January. That was post-tax cut, obviously. But look, going forward, you're going to see in these earnings reports, as Carol initiated, plans for spending finally, CapEx out of these companies that has been bottled up for so long. Now they're free to spend. Now they're free to reinvest. That's the future.
All right. Scott, Carol, Tim, thank you so much.
What a great panel.
Thank you.
They were great.
Terrific stuff.